Hello and welcome back to Typical City. Luton Town versus Manchester City. Two very opposite clubs dealing with different sides of the footballing world. One very much clawing their way back through the football leagues. A familiar story that Manchester City have had to do. Yet our story took another step, another chapter in our story, which saw a monstrous amount of money poured into our football club and taking us to places we'd never even dreamed of as Manchester City fans. And Luton, maybe one day they could dream, but right now they're at Kenilworth Road and fighting relegation and going up against the treble winners now, the Champions League winners, Premier League winners and FA Cup winners. I think we need to remind ourselves of City fans of what this football team is capable of. Right now, struggling for a vein of form, understandably that I think there are a lot of doubts going into this game. Personally, I think we're going to wipe the floor with them. I think we're going to absolutely annihilate them. And I think we've got players returning to the squad that is definitely going to help that situation, or at least help that fantasy of mine come true, potentially. And I think we are. I really believe Manchester City are going to do them. You know, I think don't play the occasion, the fact that Liverpool and Arsenal will have played before us. Don't play the occasion, the fact that we've got the rugged atmosphere at Kenilworth Road that we're going up, climbing through people's back gardens to get into the changing rooms, all that nonsense. I mean, it's going to be a grim atmosphere. I still think this team's got more than enough to wipe the floor with them. Will they be feeling sorry for themselves, Luton, or will they be looking at the fact that, well, hang on a minute, we just scored 3 past Arsenal. We have every reason to believe we can do the same against Manchester City, who aren't playing as well as Arsenal right now. So I understand both sides of the argument, some that are nervous, some that are very confident and looking at it on paper. Manchester City should be beating Luton, and that's more my side, to be honest. I think we have the players back now. We have the manager and all of the quality in our team should be destroying Luton Town. We should be. I mean, individual errors is a statement that a few City fans have questioned me. I'm certainly not talking about the Aston Villa game. The Aston Villa game was just a very lacklustre, way below our usual standards performance. Alarming, concerning, easy for Villa to play around us in midfield. We effectively didn't have any midfielders on the pitch, really. We had 2 centre-backs playing as defensive midfield. We had a Rico Lewis who's finding his feet and finding his position. Probably will end up being known as a midfielder eventually. Alvarez is a centre-forward. So, and those 4 were our box in the middle of the park, of which I think that's where it went wrong for us. That box is going to look very, very different against Luton. And I think it's going to be a major factor, a major reason as to why Manchester City are going to beat them. I think we're going to beat them comfortably. I'm going to go for 4-1. I will be doing a watch-along as well. Come and join me for that. It's going to be an interesting one, a feisty one, because it's getting a bit hot out there from Manchester City, sitting in 4th right now. You know, so we need some support. We need to support this team. Come and join me. Show your support for Manchester City. And we'll beat them together. Come on, we can do this. Team news. There's some doubts for Luton, Tom Lockyer, and the marvellously named Marvellous Nakamba. What a name that is, Marvellous. Marvellous is his name, not his description. Maybe both, but he's a doubt for the game. Tom Lockyer is the other one. Issa Kabore, Manchester City fans will be familiar with him, on loan, currently ineligible, played a lot of minutes there, 7th most played player this season in terms of minutes, got 1,000 minutes to his name for Luton Town, ineligible. And they've got a problem there because they don't have a right wing back as a number 2, because they tend to play a 3-4-2-1 system, Luton, with Issa Kabore being the right back, with wing backs effectively, with Alfred Doherty on the left and Issa Kabore on the right wing back role. They're going to either have to go for an out-and-out defender playing right back or play a winger right back, which is what I think they're going to do. But they've got a problem there. Issa Kabore, we've presented them with that problem because he's our player. You know, you can't play him against us. Ineligible. Mads Anderson, Reece Burke, Cauley Woodrow and Dan Potts, they are all out as well. In terms of City, Rodri and Jack Grealish back from suspension, and that is where the game will be won. Simple as that. I think Rodri coming back, I think that solidifies Manchester City. It gives us that assurances. It gives us that springboard and security in the middle of the pitch that we heavily rely on. And the fact that we've gone 4 games, Premier League games, without Rodri this season, and we haven't won a single one of them, I think that speaks volumes to the quality of this individual. Doku is a minor doubt. I think he's going to be okay, though. I think he's going to be okay, considering he was left out of the Villa game as a precaution, I believe. I'm hoping it's a minor doubt for the Luton game, and he will play. Kevin De Bruyne, of course, is the other long-term absentee. So let's have a look at the Luton predicted starting 11. This is what I think they're going to go for. With the absence of Issa Kabore, I think that's their major factor. What they're going to do is the two behind Carlton Morris as well. I think that's an issue. How are they going to stop City playing out from the back? But Kaminsky going in, goal for Luton, and then Issa Kabore is that one. I'm going to start with him. So I'm actually going to go straight for the wing back, really, because I think I want to address that. Ogben, who's a very good player, a very much attacking player, will he be picked and trusted with defensive duties, with likely that their wing-backs being pinned back more as traditional full-backs as a flat-back five with the way City dominate the ball? Will he have enough defensive mindset to prevent Jack Grealish or Jeremy Doku or Phil Foden, whoever it is that he's going up against on the wing? Will he have enough to stop them? Because I think Issa Kabore is a good balance right now. He's a perfect wing back for them with good power down that wing. Ogben's got that. He's got dribbling, power, pace for the counter-attack, but what's he like defensively? I think they're going to go with it, though, so I'm going to stick him in at wing back. But going as the back three, we're going to see Mengi there. He's a former Man United player. They've got a few, actually. They've got a few in there. Chong is another one. He's another one that could potentially play as well. A few rags floating around the Luton team who've got inspiration to stop Manchester City. I think Gabriel Osho's definitely going to be, got his goal against Arsenal midweek. And I mean, again, it's just quickly touching on that Arsenal performance and the fact that we talk about individual errors. The importance of individual errors was there for all to see. I said individual errors was the reason Manchester City dropped points against Chelsea, Liverpool and Spurs. It's nothing to do with individual errors against Villa. That was just a team, a collective shambles. A collective shambolic performance is what that was. Against the other three teams prior to Villa, that was individual errors. And just ask Arsenal how they felt about individual errors. David Raya's individual errors and how much it gave Luton hope and belief. They go and score 3 goals against Arsenal. Because of individual errors, Arsenal dominated that game. They should have won that game comfortably, statistically, the way the midfield played, the way the front players played. But the impact of individual errors made that game a 4-3 game and made it sound way closer than it was in reality. Because at 4-3 game, you're thinking, oh, well done, Luton. No, it was individual errors from David Raya. Again, that's the importance of individual errors. So if we can cut them out as City players, our team has got more than enough to dominate this game and go and put 4 past them like Arsenal did, except let's stop shipping them in through individual errors in defence. So that's my point I want to make about individual errors. And people say it's a lazy approach to discuss individual errors. Well, when they happen, they happen. I can't ignore them. If individual errors happen, they need to be mentioned as a reason why we've shipped a goal. That's exactly what an individual error can cause, a goal. So anyway, Luton at the back. They're going to go with Amari Bell alongside Gabriel Osho, and then left back you're going to see Alfred Doherty. If I can find him, there he is, Alfie Doherty. In the middle, you've got the power and a little bit of experience, you could probably say now, of Ross Barkley. He's been around quite a while now, hasn't he? Rudok Mpanzu, which is a good player in the middle. Solid. They're so powerful, aren't they? They're really powerful. And what you're about to see, the question marks is the front two and a box in the middle of the park, and it's a box that City are going to have to deal with, you know. And I'm going to talk about that when I line up Manchester City's team in a minute. What they do in front of them, you could play the experience of Andros Townsend. I think they will, but you could also play Chong in front of them, and I think that could be a better option for them for mobility and tenacity and stopping the City playing out from the back and stopping those channels, similar to how Conor Gallagher did against City for Chelsea earlier on in the season. We could see them employ similar tactics like that with Jacob Brown and Chong, who are very mobile and love pressing and get involved in that side of the game and preventing those little through balls into Rodri or into John Stones. And what that that's where we can turn and attack. And once we break those lines, City normally are in business at that point. And what Chelsea did was prevent that with Jackson and Conor Gallagher just closing the door, shutting the door on Manchester City, playing those through balls into Akanji it was against Chelsea and Rodri against Chelsea. So will they employ Townsend, who's got brilliant set pieces, on the ball ability, fantastic, but will he be able to block those lines, prevent those passes being fed through into Rodri and John Stones? Not entirely sure, but I think they will go with the experience of Townsend. He played really well against Arsenal. Then it's going to be Jacob Brown, I think, for similar reasons to what I just mentioned. I think Chong can do that, but I don't think they'll trust Chong. And then it's Carlton Morris up top. Now, in terms of Manchester City's team news, I know a lot of you thought that my thumbnail yesterday was to indicate that Erling Haaland should be dropped. I wish you'd watch the video rather than just commenting on the video, assuming you know what I'm talking about, rather than actually listening to what I've got to talk about and then comment on the video. That makes more sense to me. But no, I don't think we should be dropping Erling Haaland. The idea of dropping Erling Haaland was for the people who say we need more control. We need more control in that midfield. They're the cries that I hear from a lot of Manchester City fans. Well, the alternative is to take Alvarez out and put him up top and drop Erling Haaland. That's the best way, and have another player that can control the ball in the middle of the park. That's the best way, because if City want that control, we have to have a false nine. That's the best way for Manchester City, is to have a false nine, similar to how we won the league before Erling Haaland arrived, but last season we were able to strike that balance of having a number 9 that we had to compensate for. We had to alternate our patterns and change our style of play, and instead of having a false 9 that would drop into midfield, we had a centre-back that would push into midfield, because Erling Haaland can't drop. He cannot drop. He's not got that ability in his locker. That's why Erling Haaland has to be compensated for. You know, because his ability at scoring goals is unmatched, unrivaled. So to compensate that for, to have that numerical advantage still in the middle of the park that Pep demands from his teams, you had to push a centre-back up. That's why he does it. And now if you want to go back to having more control and more players that are more gifted in the middle of the park, then you're going to have to drop Erling Haaland and have a false 9 dropping instead. Personally, I don't think we should do that, though. I think Erling Haaland will start, so that cuts that story short. Now, Ederson is definitely going to be starting in goal. I like to think that's going to be the case. What City do at the back's interesting. I want to see Nathan Ake. I want to see him because I think Gvardiola's done okay this season. At times has been a bit sloppy, but Nathan Ake, for me, has been the most consistent defender out of all of our defenders this season in terms of consistency. So I do want to see Nathan Ake. I think Ruben Diaz will be starting for his physicality going up against Carlton Morris. He's going to have to deal with another battle like that. Someone who enjoys the physical side of the game. Ruben Diaz enjoys it just as much. So perfect opponent for Ruben Diaz. Kyle Walker, I think, will complete the other centre-back at the back 3. I think we're going to see John Stones again pushing into midfield. Alongside Rodri, of course, who, thank God he's back, man. I mean, how bad is it that we really do seem to depend on him so much, but he's back. Now, what I think Pep will do versus what I want Pep to do, that's always the debate when I'm doing this. Personally, I want to see Jack Grealish playing in the middle of the park. I don't think he's going to do it, though. I just don't think he will. I don't think Pep sees him there yet. He's got a number 10 on the back of his shirt for a reason. He picked that number 10 for a reason. He played there for Villa for a reason. Now, his attributes and his qualities are there for all to see. And what Pep wants is playing on the wing and drawing out centre-backs and full-backs out of their position and luring and setting traps for the opposition. And his ball retention is perfect for that system. Right now, we need someone who can do those very same things in the middle of the park, because we are not controlling the game. We certainly didn't control the game against Aston Villa in particular. So I think Jack Grealish is the answer to playing in the middle of the park. And this is under the assumption that Jeremy Doku is fit, which gives you a clue who I'm going to be putting on the left wing. Jack Grealish in the middle. I'm also going to put Bernardo Silva in the middle. This is, again, more of what I want than what I think Pep will do. But I think that oozes control. That oozes, you talk about our best players on the ball. Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Jack Grealish, all 3 of them just do not give the ball away. They do not give it away. I mean, and if they do, it's a collector's item, seeing one of them give the ball away. All 3 in the same game? No, not happening. That for me is a controlling midfield, and why Manchester City should employ this going forward. And of course, Erling Haaland up top. I then want to see, rather than having control out wide, I want to see explosions, explosive football. Jeremy Doku, for example. I want to see him exploding down that left side of the pitch, and Phil Foden, kaboom! Explosions out wide. That's what I want to see, explosive football from these two players out wide, and then you push it inside and you get your control. I think this is the perfect system for Manchester City, and let me just highlight it again. Once again, this is where the game will be won and lost, with this box that I'm showing you here right now. There's your box in midfield, going up against this box in midfield, as you can see. So, against Villa, it was Yuri Tillemans and Douglas Luiz and Kamara, and Watkins was dropping in. John McGinn was pushing into midfield and centralising himself and being more of an inverted winger at times. And their midfield, Villa's box versus Manchester City's box, they just had a better midfield than us. We couldn't field that level of quality against them. They had better players in midfield. It really is as simple as that. Luton, I think this midfield destroys them. I think it annihilates them and completely dictates the game. Obviously, you can talk about individual errors still. That could crop up. If we're lacking in confidence, that brings nerves. Nerves bring mistakes. Mistakes bring opportunities for the opposition. Individual errors, in other words. So we've got to be mindful of that. But if we come onto this pitch with a bit of confidence and belief and know-how, and we've got plenty of that, then we win this game comfortably. Comfortably. Blues, get your predictions in below. What do you think the Manchester City team's going to look like? Do you think you want to see Jack Grealish in the middle? Do you want to see Alvarez dropped like I've done? Or do you want to see him continuously play? Do you want to see Erling Haaland dropped potentially to get even more control and have Alvarez up top instead? And that way he can drop and add even more midfield and numerical advantage in midfield. Personally, I still think we need Erling Haaland firing up top for Manchester City. And against the physicality of Luton at the back, Gabriel Osho and Mengi, for example, and Amari Bell, all three love a good battle. And Erling Haaland's going to have his hands full against Luton from a physical aspect. And I'm really looking forward to the game. Yeah, like I said, I will be doing a watch-along. Come and join me for that. Sunday kickoff time is 2 o'clock, I believe. I can't remember exactly UK time. I'm pretty sure it's 2 o'clock kickoff time, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a massive game. A massive game, Manchester City. This could be the turning point. An easy game on paper, but far from easy. Going up against Luton at Kenilworth Road, it's going to be a tough task. But prior to this season, you were looking at this game thinking we're going to do it. But get your comments in and your predictions in below. I really want to hear them. Like and subscribe. Typical City is the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up silver.